hooking you in fast. What if your fancy magnetically snapping wireless display is basically a luxury you can't use with Pixel phones? That's the twist we're unpacking today. I'm diving into why Pixel devices can't play nice with those magnetic secondary screens, and what that says about Google's strategy, open standards, and the wider ecosystem of TVs and adapters. Let's pull apart the ideas and implications, not just repeat the headlines. The core idea, in plain terms, is simple. The Pixel line doesn't support Miracast. That's the open, widely adopted standard for wireless video casting. It's been the backbone of many Android devices, Windows PCs, and some Linux setups letting you mirror or extend your screen without cables. But Google decided to drop Miracast compatibility about a decade ago in favor of its own cast ecosystem. That shift isn't just about tech specs, it's about control, security models, and the way Google wants devices to talk to TVs and smart displays. What I find interesting here is how a design choice like dropping Miracast, ostensibly for better integration with Chromecast and Cast, creates a friction around a growing hardware niche: magnetic, snap-on wireless displays. These screens rely on a standard that Pixel devices simply don't implement. So even though the hardware might physically attach, the software bridge isn't there. In my opinion, this reveals a larger pattern, a widening gap between what a device can do and what a third-party peripheral expects to do, dictated by platform loyalties rather than universal compatibility. From my perspective, the practical impact is twofold. First, Pixel users lose a convenient, wireless extenders that many Android and PC users can leverage. Second, TVs that support Miracast or generic wireless display protocols become less useful as targets for Pixel screen casting. Put another way, Pixel owners are nudged toward Chromecast-enabled workflows, while many TVs, especially non-Chromecast sets from Samsung or LG, don't natively align with Google Cast for screen mirroring. That means you either buy a Chromecast dongle, or you deal with a workaround, which defeats the purpose of a seamless wireless display in the first place. A detail I find fascinating is how this ties into larger industry trends. The tech world loves standardization, but platform owners often push their own standards to lock in ecosystems. Miracast was promoted as open and universal, but Google's Cast ecosystem has matured into a cross-device, vertically integrated approach, spanning Android, Nest devices, Chromecast hardware, and Google TV interfaces. The deeper question this raises is, are we moving toward more fragmented, best effort interoperability, where a device works great with some ecosystems but leaves big gaps with others? And what does that mean for consumers who want flexibility without juggling multiple dongles and apps? Another angle that stands out is what people misunderstand about open versus closed standards. Miracast being open on paper doesn't guarantee universal support in practice, because device makers balance cost, security, and user experience. Google's resistance to Miracast isn't just about breaking compatibility, it's about steering users toward Cast as the primary user path, which simplifies features like remote control, private connections, and content protections under Google's umbrella. If you step back and think about it, this is less about one protocol failing and more about a strategic choice to shepherd users into a family of devices that work best together, sometimes at the expense of broad compatibility. So what does this mean for the future of wireless displays? If you're planning to buy a magnetically attached wireless screen, you'll need to verify which devices it truly supports. Pixel phones will work fine with Cast-enabled TVs for screen mirroring, but not with generic wireless displays that rely on Miracast. If you want universal casting for a big screen that isn't Chromecast-enabled, your best bet is an external solution, Chromecast dongle, or a TV that natively supports Cast in a way that matches your setup. In my opinion, this further cements the idea that compatibility is increasingly a product feature, not a given standard. On a broader note, this kind of limitation drives a subtle shift in how people purchase and use devices. People may prioritize a sleek magnetic screen for its aesthetics, but they'll soon face the practical reality: you can't rely on open, wireless display tech unless your ecosystem supports it end-to-end. What's really interesting here is how it forces a decision. embrace a CAS-first lifestyle and live within Google's ecosystem, or accept a more modular, adapter-heavy setup that can feel clunkier but offers broader compatibility. To close, a reflective thought: tech momentum often feels like a river. Trust in a standard erodes when major players abandon it. The Pixel case isn't just about a missing feature, it's a concrete example of how platform strategy shapes everyday tools. If you take a step back, it prompts a deeper question about what you value more: seamless integration within a single brand's universe or true freedom to mix and match across devices. I'd love to hear what you think. Do you prioritize edge-to-edge integration, or do you want flexible, universal wireless display support regardless of brand? If you've got a setup that relies on these magnetic displays, share your experiences in the comments. What workarounds have you found, and which devices do you pair with what screens? Let's map out the practical realities together.